Hi everybody, my name is Mark and I'm a photographer. The most harmless and creative profession possible, yeah, but it turned out for a prison it is not necessary to do something criminal. I've been keen on photography for a long time, almost all my life. I started with my father's point and shoot and a cat instead of a posing model. By the way, since then I hate shooting animals. They run away all the time. And now I work in a studio with professional equipment, lights, and girls in bikinis. My career has been set. I can say this without exaggeration. My work is printed on covers, I work with supermodels, and make advertising posters for some very cool and famous brands. And sometimes, I made photos for the gallery because it creates a good mood, so that the rich also touch the beautiful and hang beautiful photos in their living rooms. As you understand, my occupation is portraits or shooting people. I don't like wild nature photo shoots. It doesn't work out. I don't like freezing my butt off in any weather. With animals, after the cat, which turned out to be the brightest, but also the naughtiest model, I was not a good photographer either. So, through trial and error, I settled on beautiful adult models who pose well and are afraid to break the contract because the next time they may not be called for a photo shoot. And I have a very caring mom who just loves to get into my life and my home. I couldn't make her stop her sudden appearances, and I didn't really want to. But the presence of strangers in the studio was really annoying. So in emergency moments, I just locked myself inside and calmly made photos. The rest of the time, however, she had the house to herself. In fact, she had her own, but for some reason, it aroused less enthusiasm than the opportunity to once again educate an adult son. My mother used to bring me all sorts of creepy vases, potted flowers, and some carpets, which I then carefully folded in the attic. Thank goodness she did not climb into the studio, at least, because once I tried and ran into a nude photo session of an extreme couple. Honestly, Mom didn't always mess up. She also prepared all sorts of goodies for me so that I would not get poisoned by cheap fast food. And for regular pies, I was ready to forgive her for her little weaknesses and attempts to command. And for the way she trolls models who are always on diets with her pies, it was really funny. But the story is not about cooking, although there's some part of it here. No, if it was all sweet and smooth, I wouldn't ever tell it to people. Everything turned out much tougher and with prison cells for a snack. And it all started with my laptop, my mom, and a new recipe for pie. Well, you would believe my mom and her excuses. My computer is just a dream for police officers. Well, no, but if you get into it without knowing what's there. So my mom turned out to be Sherlock, because for some unknown phenomenon, she decided it would be a great idea to use someone else's computer for the pie recipe searching. You know, before all this, it didn't even occur to me to set passwords or somehow protect my information. Well, just because my working laptop is always with me, it is sometimes extremely important for me to quickly get into it and find the necessary pictures there. And when I'm on set and at work, an agent from the PR department is sitting at the laptop. And every time you throw lock on a password, it's inconvenient. Well, that day, I was calmly washing myself in the shower, and my mom, who came to visit me once again, gave me a lecture about that a woman's hand should always be in the house. Then she was messing up in the kitchen. I was fine with that one because my mom cooked delicious food. Well, the laptop was peacefully lying in its rightful place in the editing room. My mom said she just needed a recipe from Google, which is why she started poking around my working area. As for me, this excuse was far-fetched, especially since the Google icon, unlike folders with photos, is located right in the most visible place on the desktop, and you don't need to search for it in all the areas and folders. Anyway, she came across a collection of photos of girls in swimsuits. Nothing unusual. I have not only swimsuits photo sessions, but this folder was a bomb for my mom's head. Because, attention, it seemed to her that the models in the photo are minors. Models have this feature that at 18 and 25, they often look like teenagers, teenage girls if no makeup and heels. Well, this is a professional style, I don't know why. Maybe they should eat more or have a genetic chip, so in theory, it's possible to mix them up. But what happened next just doesn't fit into my head. Because instead of asking me questions like usually humans do, my mom called the police. She said there were erotic photo shoots with kids on my computer, and this may end for 3 years in prison. And you know, the police didn't ask me anything either, not even the contracts that are signed with each model. By the way, I tried to show them these contracts while I was handcuffed and taken to prison, but a tough guy in uniform, I think he was the boss, said that a pervert like me could fake birth dates to pretend to be a legal businessman. That's how I ended up in prison for photos of girls in bathing suits, where all the 50 pieces of eroticism was slightly less than in a sticker on the glass of a trucker. But anyway, they said I had erotic pictures of children. They were locked up even without prior warning, and they didn't allow the lawyer to call. I don't know, maybe their statistics of crime solving were too low, or maybe it was just a bad year itself when pedophiles were caught on every corner. I was immediately put behind bars, not even in the pretrial detention cell, but directly in the prison, though in a solitary cell on the upper level, so I was basically calm for my honor. But my reputation was bursting at the seams, and only by a miracle, through a dishonest security guard, I was able to reach a lawyer. It was a nightmare that hasn't even a name, because I was used to a completely other life, and the constant pressure and threats from the police and some prisoners drove me into a fierce panic. Fortunately, not strong enough to sign a voluntary confession out of fear, which in my opinion everyone was counting on. And then there was a terrible horror. The lawyer tried to prove I was not guilty of anything, used all the same contracts with the attached passport data of births of the girls. Well, it is necessary to transfer the payment because the models do not work for free. But no one listened to him either. They insisted that it was all fakes to whitewash the pedophile, me. At the same time, I was actively pressed to confess and get what I deserved. No, there was no physical violence, although it was always explicitly hinted at. It's just that when you're sitting in a cell without being able to communicate with the outside world, when you're forbidden everything, including visits to a lawyer, and in fact you are completely in someone else's power, it is very demoralizing. I would never recommend it to anyone. As a result, desperate to reach out to someone else's logic, the lawyer did the unreal affair. He found every girl, and we really got lucky there were only 10 of them in 50 photos. And personally, he asked every one of the girls to come to the police station and testify. My big thanks to the girls for coming and helping me out. Only with such evidence as the presence at the trial of the models themselves, who, as I have already said, were from 18 to 25 years old, and who personally confirmed they were adults and participated in the shooting voluntarily for a fee under the contract, they agreed to let me go, but still put me on a suspended sentence with a mandatory check of my activity for the next 2 years. Then, me and my lawyer filed a counterclaim against the police, and we won it. Because even with the toughest evidence against them, no one has the right to be locked up in a prison without a pretrial. This is a violation of human rights and the presumption of innocence. Like, it's your job to prove my guilt and then lock me away from people, and not just throw everyone in the prison without any proper legal process. Yeah, I felt better, but it was a rather nasty issue. People did not condemn me, but still I was judged under the articles. I was really innocent, but people squinted and refused to work with me anyway. Fortunately, this did not affect my main projects, because most people were understanding and adequate. But the small orders and gallery had to be removed from the list of revenues. And I had to move, just because people didn't like me in this city, and they showed it to me in every way. And working in a bullying environment is not very comfortable. But the most difficult thing was to call my mom and talk to her. It was necessary, but damn, it was strange to realize my mom was the reason why I had been in prison. I just didn't know how to talk to her. As a result, we met with a lawyer. We were sitting in a restaurant with my lawyer sitting next to us and trying to pretend that he wasn't there. And my mom cried and said she was just scared for me, and she couldn't think of anything better than calling the police, yeah. Like, if I'm already interested in minors, it's easier to turn me into the cops right away before any trouble happens. Personally, this concern is not very clear to me. How about you? Technically, of course, we made up. Anyway, it's my mom. How could I not make up with her? But I practically forbade her to approach my house, much less enter it, even in my presence. There's nothing for her to do in my house. I will somehow figure out what to eat and who to hire for cleaning and giving comfort. So now we meet on holidays and on some neutral territory. I don't know if I will ever have the strength to forgive her completely, but for now, it's even calmer for me. No one gets in my life. True, there are no more mom's pies, but I always have a delivery of ready-made food for every taste. Write in the comments who have encountered this, and write what you would do in my mom's shoes and in mine. It's really important. Don't forget to share this video with the photographers you know. And remember that a contract is not a guarantee that people will believe you later.